everybody. This is Keith Gleason, host of Indie Comics Relay and creator of the Mighty Mascots, and I'm here with a video talking about the end of Plastic City Comic Con 2022. Before I get into that, I want to shine a light on the Mighty Mascots pre-launch page. It's coming up. I'll plan to launch this campaign this week. But I have a few. I have all the covers. I have the 3 variants and the 3 regular covers, but they didn't have any of the finished design on them. Like what I mean by that is the logo, and then the corner box, and then whatever blurb that Alterna is going to add to it. I didn't have those completed, so I'm kind of waiting another week or so to get that done. That way, I have fully completed artwork on the campaign. So as soon as that's ready to go, this campaign's ready to launch. So look for this probably to launch in another week or two at the latest. So yeah, check it out. If you sign up early, you get the exclusive sticker of the new character here, Grunt Calhoun, and his tagline, "Put a leash on crime." And this is one of the variant covers, like a little piece of it, by artist Steve Mardo. And this is for issues 7, 8, and 9 of Mighty Mascots, the continuing series from Alterna Comics. So sign up early, get the sticker, and we're only going to make those to order for the campaign. So, all right. Now that we got that off, we got the promo stuff out of the way, we could talk about. So it's been about a week since Plastic City Comic Con. I've been recovering all week. I got to tell you, like, when you're on that concrete hockey rink, walking on it all day, and if you're, a man, with a little girth like myself, that really kills your feet. So 2 days later, I was still like, I felt like 100,000 years old, but, and it wasn't just because we were there Saturday, but we were also there all day Friday, setting up tables, mapping out the floor, letting certain vendors in and out of the building to set up their booths. So, it was like 2 pretty big days of hard work and labor, between me, my wife, Amy, and then my sister-in-law, her husband, and my nephew and his friend came on Friday to help us out as well, to map the floor. We had a little bit of miscommunication, so some things had to get mapped out twice, but we got it done. We got it done in plenty of time, which was good. So from everything I've seen and heard, people were really pleased with the show. I think we did, I don't have an exact number of attendance, but it was at least just about 2,000 people, which is a record for us, which is crazy. Previous years, well, I don't know if that was a record. I think the first year we hit almost 2,000, and then we started seeing drop-offs. So this was going back to 2017. I think 2018 was around 1,500, and then 2019, before the last show before the pandemic, was around 1,300. So our numbers were kind of steadily slipping, but that kind of goes with the trend of Comic Cons around that time before the pandemic. Things were kind of out of control. There was more shows than ever, especially in this New England area. And I think people were getting tired of them, so it was kind of nice to see that after 2 years off, people were hungry to be back at shows. So our attendance shot right up again. So I don't have the exact number, but it's around 2,000 people. We used wristbands this year, which is new for us. Previous years we used tickets. We would just give people tickets like they were at the movie theaters, and they could hold the stub out and, show us if they wanted to go back in, that kind of thing. So we use wristbands, which seem to work out better, and then we can have more of a count. So we got 2,000 wristbands, and those are just about gone. So and it looks like we might have dipped into some of the tickets, so it might be a little over 2,000. So I'm not terribly sure on the final number, but that's that's really good for us. And then one thing I was worried about is the show. The admission was always $5 up until this year. The COVID and the 2 years off, and the inflation in the world, we've had to gone up to 10, but that didn't seem to deter anybody. I mean, we're still consistently the lowest admission anywhere. Any convention. There's some that are free. There's some that are $5. But we're right in the ballpark of being like one of the cheapest cons around, which is awesome. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into them, so it ends up being, at least we made a little bit of money this year, which was nice, Everything I've heard from people has been positive. Most of the vendors do really well at our show. Excuse me. And I've heard from just about all of our guests that we invited to the show, and all of them were really happy with the turnout and the money they made for the show. So that was nice to hear. And most of them, I think all of them want to come back next year, which is great. So that tells me that things were going right. That's always the first sign, right? So if somebody doesn't want to come back the next year, you're like, oh, I guess it wasn't that great of a show. So that's great. So I judge things on that kind of, not people aren't. I think I've mentioned in other videos that people are not usually very truthful with their earnings at conventions. So there's other ways to kind of tell if they're telling the truth, and that's one of the ways, So, so that was really good. I mean, it was good to hear from people about that. I also let me bring this up real quick. We there was some pictures from the show, which was great. We usually don't see. I usually every year I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get pictures this year, and I end up being so busy that it just never happens, So here is a picture Pete from Alterna Comics took at the very end of the show when things were clearing out. This was all the Alterna creators that were there, which was amazing. From left to right, we got Spencer Desmond, we got Frankie B. Washington, we got the man himself, Pete Samedi, me, of course, in my Plastic City volunteer shirt. Mike McSwegan from Can't Kill Cade. We got David Lucarelli, who flew in from California for this show, the writer of Tinseltown. We got Clint Stoker, who flew in from Utah, and he's the writer of Downcast. He brought his wife, which she was amazing as well. And then Fabrizio, Aiella, which I was surprised showed up. He is got a book coming out in the fall on Alterna called Horace H. Hoover, which looks absolutely amazing. Some of the art I've seen from this dude looks like he's channeling Bernie Wrightson big time. So keep an eye out for that book. I'm sure we'll push it here at some point as well. But it was so cool that all these guys showed up. This is probably the most Alterna creators we've ever had together in one area. Also, not in this picture, Tyler Wentland was there as well that day. He was only here till 2:00. He's the writer on Red Koi, writer and artist on Red Koi. So I mean, this is amazing. And then Spencer had like the Death Curse crew, which is his own imprint. Kayla and a couple, and his girlfriend Beth. So they were right next to Alterna. And then new friend of Alterna, Anthony Gambino, who was at the table next to them, who had some great Alterna prints like Blood Realm and Wirehead and a few other things. And he's got a book on Indiegogo now called Vigilant Fury with a guest, Julius Freeman, who's on our show way back. And Julius is a great writer. Anthony's a great artist. So check that one out. I tweeted about it on Twitter earlier. So if you can catch that and find that, my tweet, and back it, or just look for it on Indiegogo. And then Jason Harris, who is a writer and a promoter, does promotions for shows, works with me at Plastic City Comic Con. Usually works, once the con is up and everything, he'll send out tweets and he'll announce guests on our social media and stuff. He took a bunch of pictures of the vendors and the show in general, so we could take a look at that. This is just a smattering of the creators vendors that were at the show. And you'll probably see some in the background, some of the crowds and things like that, and cosplayers as Frankie again. But yeah, it was really cool, to see all these people show up, at our event, and it was just a great day. The only thing I wish I had more time to hang out with Alterna. I was too busy. Like, I always underestimate how busy I'm gonna be at these shows. Like, I always think I'm gonna have time to walk around and shop and just hang out, and talk to people, but it usually doesn't happen that way. Like, I'll start to do that. I'll get to a table or two, and then somebody will come over and say, hey, you're needed upstairs. They need this and this. And, or, hey, the bathroom needs some attention or something like that, So that looks like it's all he took for the show. But this is great photos, great for future events and things like that, So I thank Jason, if you're watching this, for doing this for us. This is always great because I never get time to do this stuff. Supposedly other people like Ara, who you guys see in the chat a lot, filmed some footage, and so did Scott, who is, I think he's in one of these pictures here. He put a drone up for this guy, Scott Wachopi, I think is how you say it. He had a drone, and he put it up in the air and took some footage of the convention from the drone. So hopefully that stuff came out great, because I could use it for the commercial for next year, that kind of thing. So yeah, really thank you, Jason, for taking those photos, and thank all the vendors for coming to the show. That was really great. I'm glad to hear that 95% of you did really good. So the ones I don't hear from, I'm always like, are they going to come back? This thing and the thing. So thank you so much. I also did want to talk about some of the bad of the show. We did have some complaints. Probably there were some things that are beyond our control. But so let me start with this. So I've heard some of the complaints over the years. The weather is always an issue with this facility. Is because it's a hockey rink. In the summertime, the ice gets removed, so it's always tough to find a date that kind of works. Like, we tried going closer to April in 2018, and the inside of the place was too cold because it was really cold outside and the ice had just come off. So that the concrete was so cold, like you could stand on it and that cold would go right up through your shoes into your feet, and it was kind of miserable. A lot of people got colds and things like that, a couple days after the show. So we were like, April is just not a good date. But when you get into May and June, it's a little tougher too, because you got a lot of holidays there. You got Memorial Day, you got Father's Day, you got graduation. So it's tough to try to put a date within those confines. So we always kind of went with July. And July has always been a crapshoot, because if it is a hot day out, the facility is going to get hot throughout the day. And that's what happened this year. Although I think I've been in there when it was worse. This was just kind of like really swamp-assy, I guess you could say. There was like a lot of moisture in the air, so everyone kind of felt wet, that feeling you get when you just sweat a lot, so that's what happened. It was about 85 outside, so that really kind of brought the heat up into the building, and it created that kind of atmosphere which sucked, so that stinks. The other thing is the facility doesn't have air conditioning, and I don't know if that's BS or not. I mean, I've asked every year, and they said that they don't have it. I imagine it has something to do with, once they turn it on, it's going to be more like the ice is going to be there, or they just don't want to spend the money. I don't know, but that was one of the major problems. The second major problem is the bathrooms are kind of a disaster there. I mean, it's a hockey rink, so you kind of expect that the bathrooms aren't going to be great. I know the one downstairs that's on the same level as all the vendors had had like a urinal that was running all day and flooding, and it doesn't have a stall wall or something like that. I didn't use that one that much, but that one's kind of like okay, and that's a major problem. Also, there's a bathroom upstairs. That one seemed to be okay, but the ladies' room seemed to be running out of toilet paper constantly. So that was kind of an issue. What else do we hear? I think the biggest one, and the reason that we're looking to possibly move next year or do something different is the building itself. The Wallace Civic Center is old. It's like I think it was built in like the 60s. And it's got a complicated history. So I think it was given to the city, and then the city then given to Fitchburg State. And then the people that run the hockey rink that I actually rent space from is a whole other entity. So there's these three entities that run the building, but none of them want to have anything to do with the other one, so nothing gets done basically. But because the building is so old, it was never brought up to handicap accessibility standards. And I guess that's what you say. There is a wheelchair. There's a ramp outside one of the entrances, but that's it. That's all they have. So one thing we're running into, and it's always been a problem every year, but this year it seemed to be worse, or triple the amount of complaints, is we don't have accessibility to the main floor. So people come in the main entrance, which is the second floor. They pay for their ticket, and there's no elevator or no ramp area that goes down to the hockey rink. So that's a major issue. So we're running into that with handicapped people and people with strollers, like with their kids. They can't bring the stroller down. Anyone that's in a wheelchair or a scooter, they can't get down there. Crutches, it's tough because you got to go downstairs. So everything there is a major issue. And what we've had to do in the past, and a lot of these people it's unfair to ask them to do this, is they have to go outside, go all the way to the back of the building, and then go in that way, just to get on the main floor. And it's not cool, So we got I got yelled at once, and I know a couple of my staff got yelled at, and it's like, you just do what you can, you get blamed. It's not your building, but you get blamed for stuff, So anybody in customer service knows that. So that has us rethinking next year. Right now it's too early. It's only been a week out, about a week out at this point. So we're talking to the facility. They have other hockey rinks. So one of the ideas is we may move to a different location. We're looking at a couple different cities that they're in. But we want to tour, each arena and see what it looks like and see if it fulfills that need. First and foremost, I want to make sure that the handicap accessibility is there, because we don't want any more problems with that. The next step after that is to see if we can get a date. Probably, I'm going to look and see what's available in May and June, because I think if we move to one of those days, the weather will still be probably in the 60s or 70s, and we won't have as much of the heat issue in the hockey rink. So I'm thinking about that. That's pretty much where we're at the moment. The other option is to go smaller again and do a smaller show like the first year. That's a little tough because the show's grown so big, So I don't know. We'll see. A lot to think about, But I've already, gave my complaints to the people that run the rink in the hopes that they'll get that facility fixed and up to code at some point. Oh, I was going to say the other problem we had was the internet. Now, the internet usually works at this facility, but I guess Fitchburg State University is doing work to their server rooms, and they were telling me that the internet is, they don't have it quite figured out, but it's been going in and out for like months now since hockey season ended a couple months ago. So that's why I think if you were there at the show, you would see the Wi-Fi show up on your phone for a second, and it would be gone the next, because it's going in and out. So that was another issue. Normally, that's not a problem. The previous years, we never had a problem with the internet stuff. But yeah, it was just 4 or 5 things this year that really kind of didn't really affect well, it did a little bit, but it didn't really affect most. Once the show's up and running, it's up and running, and it kind of runs itself. But it does, you get the complaints, so it's enough to like make you rethink, the facility and what you're doing there. So besides that, my overall, I'm happy with the way the show was this year. I think most of the vendors are happy. They walked away with some cash and everything, and the fans were happy. They got a lot of comics, especially if you're a comic fan, you love this show, because you don't see comics at most shows, so it was a good and bad situation, overall. But I would say good for us, and we will keep you posted. Follow Plastic City Comic Con on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and then we also have our website, plasticcitycomiccon.com. I will try to, and we also have a newsletter, so if you sign up for there, I'll keep you guys in the loop on the ongoing struggle there as well. But yeah, check it out, and let us know your thoughts. If you guys attended the show, leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. Let me if you have any suggestions, let me know. We open to hear everything here. So as you tell, my voice is still kind of shot from last weekend. So I'm going to wrap this up. But thank you guys for listening to me yammer on about Plastic City Comic Con. It's a show we love to do, and we love to give back. And I love my creator friends coming and enjoying it and making some money. So it's a comic book celebration, It's like, that's what I love about our show. So, all right, everybody. Thanks so much. Come back this Thursday. We'll be live Thursday instead of Wednesday. Normally we would do Wednesday, but Johnny's coming back from San Diego. The kid's crazy, man. And he's going right to Terrificon. So he may or may not be on the show. I moved the show to Thursday, and the chance that he might be, if he's in his hotel, maybe he can connect and join. But if not, my wife Amy will join me, and we'll be talking to the guests this week. So, all right. So I hope to see you at the live stream. Have a great week, and read some comics, everybody. All right. We'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.